Guys, welcome to this special edition of The Tea with April. I'm telling you, we got a lot of spill that we have to figure out how to clean up or report on, if you will. I've got my dear friend, my brother from another mother, Jim Acosta, independent journalist extraordinaire. You remember him in his other life, but he's here as an independent journalist and who knows everything about the ins and outs about all of this. And guess what we're talking about? We're talking about the Epstein affair. All of this stuff that's going on. Jim, I was going to bed last night and then up jumps this alert that the Wall Street Journal of all places,
Yep.
They got information about this hand sketched body with the words inside that things that Donald Trump has denied, but they got it from someone in justice. Please spill what you know. Please tell it.
Well, it's great to be with my sister from another Mr. April Ryan. It's great to see you. I mean, I feel like I'm right back in the White House briefing room with you during the first Trump presidency. I mean, it just doesn't stop. I mean, it's a fire hose every day. And, I think you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned that it's the Wall Street Journal. This is Rupert Murdoch's paper.
Yeah.
They're not going to mess around with the story here. And it was amazing how, Trump and even a lot of people in MAGA jumped to his defense very quickly and talked about how this was a fake story and all of this stuff. And Trump put out the statement saying, well, I don't draw pictures of women, or I don't draw pictures, or whatever he said. And then people were finding all these pictures all over the internet, all over social media. He's drawn the Manhattan skyline. He's even put some of these pictures up for auction and so on. And it's just, again, it's difficult really to believe anything that he says anymore. He doesn't really have any credibility to begin with a lot of things that he says. And in particular on the Epstein case. I mean, we've gone from J.D. Vance, other people in MAGA calling for the release of the Epstein files, to Donald Trump calling the whole thing a hoax this week. And it just begs the question, does anybody really believe what he says anymore? Or, are folks in MAGA just going to say, wait a minute, we don't want to lose our clout, we don't want to lose our access, we're going to rally around this guy and circle the wagons?
I've been saying this could be his kryptonite because you've got Trump loyalists like Marjorie Taylor Greene, former Trump loyalist Candace Owens going against him. You've had a lot of MAGA loyalists who this one draws the line because apparently there was pedophilia and all sorts of things that were immoral, disgusting, and illegal, let's say that, involved. And they want to know, these loyal followers want to know if the man that they've heralded as president and want to be king is involved. Is this his kryptonite?
I think it could be. I mean, as soon as the Department of Justice tried to put out that memo, what was it, almost 2 weeks ago now? We're now into 2 weeks of this cover up. I said, this is a story. I mean, the way MAGA responded immediately, they were apoplectic, and rightfully so. I mean, they've all been clamoring for the release of these files for years now. They were confident, the Trump people were confident that this was going to embarrass a lot of Democratic figures. And the way Trump responded to that reporter in the cabinet meeting, whatever it was, not last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before.
You still talking about that?
When he freaked out. I mean, he just freaked out. Why are you still talking about this?
Yeah.
And the way Pam Bondi sort of clinched up. I immediately said, April, and I know because you've been around him up close and personal. I said, whoa, wait a minute, what's that? I said, I know when this guy is worried. Something is going on. He's starting to freak out here. And it was a bit of a poker tell. Yeah. And ever since then, he's just been spiraling and coming up with different excuses and so on. And I'm sorry, but going back to your comment, is this his kryptonite? This area of his crudeness, his attitudes toward women, his treatment of women, I think it's absolutely his kryptonite. I mean, was the Access Hollywood video a hoax?
When he takes a Tic Tac and tries to kiss women and grab them by the P word,
all of that stuff. The video of him.
He said that.
He said it. The video of him and Epstein, dancing and making comments about women and so on, and Epstein is laughing. Is that fake? Is that a hoax? I mean, at some point, people inside MAGA need to wake up and smell the coffee. The jig is up. And to me, this goes back to the old Watergate question: what did the president know? When did he know it? I can't imagine that Pam Bondi and the
Yeah.
Department of Justice put out that memo saying, we're putting this story to rest, we're putting the files to rest, we don't think there's a conspiracy, and so on, without the involvement of the White House. And if the White House is involved, or if Trump is involved, then that makes it a much bigger story. And this directive last night to release all pertinent files from the grand jury testimony, that's a very narrow directive. And who decides what pertinent is? And that's not releasing the Epstein files. So they're trying
Yeah,
to do
what's the definition of pertinent in this moment?
exactly.
And let's go back to this in the short window of time that we have.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch, the
Yeah.
Wall Street Journal, Rupert Murdoch. If you've noticed, everyone, mainstream media has been changing how news is delivered and how we cover the president or anything that he doesn't like. And
Yeah.
for someone who has been in that circle, Rupert Murdoch, who owns the Wall Street Journal, this is a big deal. If you know it
Huge.
or not, it's a huge deal. It's huge,
Yeah.
as this president says. And then
Yeah.
for there to be a leak out of the Trump Justice Department about this hand-drawn picture. What do you think about Rupert Murdoch and this leak out of justice? I'm wondering if that person's going to be found and fired soon. And he's already trying to file a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal.
Right. And they fired Maurene Comey the other day, as she was a prosecutor on the Epstein case. Jim Comey's daughter. I mean, that's just weird in and of itself. So
How
you
about
wonder,
that?
well, what's that all about? But no, I mean, I remember back in the 2016 campaign, out on the golf course in Scotland with Trump, when he was doing one of his trips during that campaign, and he was on a golf cart with Rupert Murdoch driving around. They looked as thick as thieves, good old buddies, doing the whole good old buddy thing. And these two have known each other a long time. And Murdoch and Fox have been carrying Trump's water for years now. They've been basically his propaganda network for the last 10 years. And so to me, I think you hit the nail on the head. The Wall Street Journal would not be messing around here unless they had something that was airtight, something that was out of the Epstein files. I don't think they would sloppily rush something into the Wall Street Journal if it wasn't bulletproof. But the problem is for Trump, he goes out there and says, "I'm going to sue the Wall Street Journal." He's attacking Rupert Murdoch and so on. I'm sure Murdoch and the Journal are saying, "Bring it on." They would love to get Donald Trump in a deposition situation. When you start suing, the discovery process begins, and both
more
sides.
information trickles out. More
Donald
things that could damage the president trickles out.
Donald Trump is not going to want to do a deposition on what's going on between you and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. You want to talk about kryptonite? That's just hanging the kryptonite around his neck. He is not going to want to do that.
So at the end of the day, the journalists at the Wall Street Journal, the money paper, that's the money paper. That's where the people that are in that Trump circle, that's the paper they read.
Yeah.
And that's their paper. And for that to be planted in that, not planted, but to be put there.
Yeah.
And for that journalist to get it, this is a big deal. And here's the next thing, for Rupert Murdoch's media machine to allow it to come out, there is a fracture in MAGA, because there's portions of MAGA that want to know. And this arm of the Rupert Murdoch media machine is putting it out there.
Yeah. Well, and remember, I mean, this is just a drip, drip, drip. This is a death of a thousand cuts. This cannot be the only story that is going to leak out when it comes to these Epstein files. And so the question becomes, can they really shut this thing down by putting out these pertinent files from the grand jury testimony and so on? I'm really suspicious that they're going to be successful in doing that, because remember when they initially put out those binders and they gave those influencers, those MAGA influencers, the binders, and they walked out of the White House and they held up the binders, and then they went through it and they realized, oh, there's nothing here.
Right.
And, some of this stuff is heavily redacted and so on. And so to me, Trump is being hoisted on his own petard when it comes to these conspiracy theories. He's trafficked in conspiracy theories. He's played up conspiracy theories like the birther conspiracy theory to great political effect. He's milked these conspiracy theories, even after knowing that many of them are false. I mean, I reported
He
back in
became president because of these conspiracy
he
theories.
became president because of these conspiracy theories, and he knew the birther conspiracy theory was false, and he still pushed it anyway. I
And it was
reported
false
that,
and
others reported.
racist. It was
It's
false.
false, well, and totally racist, no question
Yeah.
about it. And so, he plays this game. He's been playing this game for a long time. He played this game with the Epstein Files. He was more than happy to go out there and say, "Let's release the Epstein Files," and so on. And now it's biting him in the ass. And so, to me, you got to dance with them that brung you. As my mother used to say, you make your bed, you lie in it. And I don't see him wriggling out of this. He may be able to suppress the news coverage every now and then and sue people and yell at news executives and try to shape the coverage. But I just don't see people in MAGA world giving up on this easily. I just don't see it. Maybe they
Dan,
will, and they'll have to make their peace with that. But to me, I don't see it.
dance with the one who brought you to the party.
That's it.
That's it. But so what happens to the reporter that broke the story? What happens to Rupert Murdoch? What happens to Pam Bondi? Okay. And what
Yeah.
happens to Donald Trump? If you can name him. What happens to the reporter? What do you think?
I think I don't see there being a problem with the reporter in this case. I noticed on the byline that these are not White House reporters.
Right.
Uh, these
But he's going to go after them. He's going to
He's
go
going
after
to go after them. There's no
discredit
question
them.
about it.
Yeah.
He's going to target those reporters. He's going to
Mhm.
continue to rail against the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch.
Mhm.
But there's only Trump can only go so far with this. Fox is his megaphone, his magaphone. And you mess with Rupert Murdoch, you start messing with Fox. He doesn't want a situation where Fox starts to turn on him. And so far, I mean, if you look at, some people have been writing stories about how much coverage Fox has been devoting to the Epstein files. It's been almost nothing. And a lot of it is sort of coming to his defense. And so, he doesn't want to mess with Rupert Murdoch so much, or he might,
Or
Fox
Rupert
might start
Murdoch's
changing
money.
again.
Rupert Murdoch's money. Let's
Yeah,
talk about his money,
exactly.
because that's, you mess with his money making machine, which is Fox News, and
Yeah.
all of his entities, the Wall Street Journal, everything. What's going to happen to Pam Bondi?
I thought it was very interesting earlier this week where you had Laura Loomer and Megyn Kelly and some of these people going after Pam Bondi. And I thought to myself, they're just trying to make Pam Bondi the scapegoat in all of this. There's no way Pam Bondi is, putting out that Justice Department memo without some kind of directive out of the White House. And look what happened last night. Trump says, I want these pertinent Epstein files from the grand jury testimony released. And she immediately tweets out, yes, Mr. President, we'll get that done right away for you. So, she's obviously following his directives in this case. And so to me, if Trump pushes out Pam Bondi, if he fires Pam Bondi, then now she's kind of hanging out there. What happened with John Kelly? What happened with General Mattis? What happened with some of these others who've been forced out by Trump over the years? They eventually say, you know what? I want to save my reputation. I don't want to go down with this guy. I'm going to start speaking out. And I don't think he wants Pam Bondi floating around out there twisting in the wind. I just don't see that. And he put people like Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. These were the Epstein files, truthers. They were the ones who were out there beating the drum saying, release the Epstein files. Now they're each in these very important positions where they're kind of the gatekeepers of this information. And, I think Trump needs them too much. I don't think he can push any of them out. I don't think he can afford any of them being pushed out of the Trump tent and then going rogue. So he's in a bind here. He's in a box, and it's the reason why he's acting like a caged and cornered animal. He's lashing out like a cornered animal. And I think we're just going to continue to see this spiraling in the coming days, the way he's behaving.
He's lashing out like a cornered animal who said he doesn't doodle, in all the
Yeah.
doodling surfacing. It's
I know.
when you lie, your nose grows. I'm watching or maybe
Yeah.
let's just say he forgot. Let's just say he forgot. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. He forgot he doodles because he's such a wealthy man that he's got so much on his plate. And I'm just
Yeah.
gonna put it there that he just forgot.
He
Jim,
even drew the black line on the weather map, when the hurricane was going here and then it was going.
yes,
And
yes.
so, come on. I think we've got enough footage to show that the man likes to doodle. You know what I mean? I don't know. He's a doodler.
There you have it. President Trump is a doodler, and We just solved the mystery. Did he or did he not doodle that human figure for Epstein's birthday in the words inside? Jim Acosta, thank you so much. We
You got it.
always need your insight, your intel, especially in this very pivotal moment. This is the first time we're seeing a crack in MAGA against
Yeah.
uh, the wannabe MAGA king, President Donald John Trump. Thank you so much, as always, and tell everybody
Thank
when
you.
to see you, your show, day and
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah. Stay tuned. The Jim Acosta Show every day, just about every day, 4 o'clock on Substack. We air it later on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts. And of course, the great April Ryan always comes on my show. And I'm so happy for you. Congratulations to you and this show. I love it. I think it's great.
The
And
tea, and you, yes, because you've been watching. You told me I saw that. I'm like, oh my,
I,
Jim is watching. Thank you,
of
Jim.
course, I
Thank you.
love watching April spill that tea.
And you always, every time we get together, you go viral. The last time, what did you say? Oh,
Oh boy.
yeah. Oh, Caroline Levitt, you got to watch him. I'm telling you, they respond. Trust me. Don't think it's just the reporters inside the White House. It's Jim Acosta. They respond.
I
Trust
don't
me.
know what it is, why they get so mad at me, but
Because you
I'll
tell
keep
the
doing
truth.
my
You're
thing.
another truth teller. That's it. That's it.
I like
Yeah.
to doodle too, but it's
Oh, that's another story. Anyway,
it's a
I
different
don't
story. We'll
do
save that for next
I'm
time.
gonna put your due links in the news, guys. Thank you for this special edition of the team. Jim Acosta, I love you. Thank you.
Great to see you. Great to see you, April. Take care.